In the world of high yield weekly ETF payers, are you stupid or is this your financial advisor? Okay, now that the disclaimer's over, in the world of weekly paying ETFs, I know everything looks shiny and new. However, you just have to scratch the surface and you're going to find the dank, dirty stank of trash. You're going to find nothing but garbage. Hidden from you is the risk of poor long-term results. These so-called high-yield investments often burn more than they earn. That's why chasing weekly payouts instead of growing your portfolio can drain your portfolio. You need to wake up and smell the coffee, get off the trash, and get into making some cash. I don't know what happened. You know, when other ETF funds came out, maybe a decade or two ago, that paid monthly, people went bananas. We were used to quarterly, semi-annually, annual payments, but they were pretty secure companies and they were pretty secure payments, and they pre-announced the payments, distributions. Then it became monthly, and of course, it's very difficult for any company or any ETF to pay a scheduled monthly payment that's consistent and stable. Things happen in the marketplace. Fluctuations happen. However, lo and behold, along came the weekly paying ETFs, but not paying like 10%, 15%, maybe even some 20% yield. Now, I'm old enough, I'm in my 60s, to know that when some ETFs came out claiming that they would pay monthly 20% per annum, we all went, oh no, this is a scam. Uncle Ponzi is at it again. Uncle Ponzi and Anti-Pyramid are at it again. However, these weeklies take it to a whole new level of trash. It's like city sanitation decided to go on strike and the trash is piling into the streets. And you're walking past it with your nose plugged so that you don't smell the garbage, right? You got to wake up and smell that coffee and have a new perspective. Don't just drink the Kool-Aid with everybody else. Look at it from a different point of view, right? Your portfolio value. Imagine if somebody told you, you know what? The money you have is going to erode over time. And you say, well, what do you mean? Yeah. Over time, right, your net value of your portfolio is going to decrease. However, if you just take all the money you generate and reinvest into those stocks or funds, you'll kind of lose a little bit less, but you're never going to really make any money. What would you say? What would your financial advisor, unless he's the guy that first showed up, say to you? They say, get out. If city sanitation is not picking up the trash, you got to put the trash in the back of your car or in the back of your pickup and drive down to the dump and dump it yourself. Every city has a dump. Some are free, some you have to pay a little bit for, but you just can't let the trash, the garbage, pile up on your front lawn because there's nobody there to pick it up. Research, investigate, watch the trend that's happening. These weekly ETFs, for the most part, all trend the same, down and to the right. While the stock market, over the history, this is over 100 years of the stock market, trends up and to the right. It's completely 180 degrees from what is traditional. If you just buy the S&P and ride it for 30 years from now, I guarantee you that you're going to have more money than you have today. Now, is it going to keep up with inflation? What do I know? However, I do know that at 80+%, and in some cases over 100%, payouts are unsustainable. There is no way that any fund anywhere can sustain an 80+% payout. They can't make money fast enough in the course of a week because they're weekly payers. That means they gotta, you ever see a duck on the water? It looks all calm and serene, right? But underwater, those legs are paddling like crazy. And you're crazy for wanting to invest in these funds. There's no way they can paddle fast enough, right? To earn enough money to pay an 80+% distribution. Get that through your head. You can't be that ignorant that you think, let's just play a little mind game, right? Let's say you had a way of investing that you could own over 100% in a year. That means you double your money every year. So if you start with 100,000, in year one, you're going to make 200, right? Your 100 is going to grow to 200. Year two, your 200 is going to grow to 400. Year three, your 400 is going to grow to 800. In year four, your 800 is going to grow to 1.6 million. And that's in 4 years, right? 4 years. If they could do that, don't you think they'd do it for themselves? Why are they messing around with us? Because picture livestock, right? You got a cow and you feed it hay. The hay goes in. That's our cash going into the cow. The cow is the ETF, weekly paying ETF. Now, while it's going through the cow, right, the ETF managers take an exorbitant amount of management fee. The average ETF is around 0.5. Some are like crazy low and some are low, but it's 0.5, 0.5%. These guys are charging 1 to 1.5%. So they take all the nutrients out of the money that you put in, their share. And then what comes out the end? After the cow's been fed cash, after the ETF managers have sucked the nutrients out, what's left? Trash. And that's all you're doing. They're giving you a portion of your money back because they siphon out 1 to 1.5%. You can't see it because you're blinded by the distributions, right? They fluctuate the distribution rate between ROC and yield, return of capital and dividend, right? Or the yield is the percentage. And you've got blinders on all you see is 80, 90, 100 plus, right? Some of these ETFs with their distribution pay 190%. Make it make sense. How can you pay? Did they make 190%, right? So let's call it 200%. If you divide it by 52 weeks, and let's make numbers easy, is 4%. 4% of a fund that's $1 billion is $40 million. Can they make $40 million in a week? I haven't seen it. And some of these funds are 5 million, 10 million, like the microscopic funds. And you guys are pouring your money in there. At any given moment, they can be halted, right? And then your money's stuck until they do an investigation and they find the actual NAV, right? Net asset value per share. And if you're lucky, that's what you'll get back. Because who knows what they're doing, because they're charging 1 to 1.5%, but are they also getting order flow? You know, they hype it. They get some YouTube rock stars to help super hype it, and you fall for the hype, and the fund grows, right? Perfect example, Alti was like under 300 million, and now it's over 3 billion. And that's because of promotion by YieldMax and promoting from YouTubers and people on Reddit. They went bonkers. They went absolutely bonkers over Alti. Before Alti, it was Misty, because it seems like YieldMax has got 54 ETFs. It's like the kingpin of this whole, what my Uncle Ponzi would say, scheme. Do you really believe a fund? Pick your fund. They're all down and to the right. Almost without exception. Are you in the ones that are going to make it 30 years to your retirement? I'm over 60. I'm looking at income. And of course, these funds, like imagine if you're retired, right? And you have a 401k or an RRSP. You look at the amount that you got, right? And if you're over 60 and didn't work for the government, it's pretty much that you put money into your retirement plan yourself, right? It's only been over the last 10, 15 years that companies have, for lack of labor, to get labor, had to give more. And they gave retirement plans along with health benefits and insurance and stuff like that. But the average person is got maybe between 50 and 250,000 invested in their retirement plan. So when you offer 80% plus, these people look and say, this is a game changer. This is a miracle. This is manna from heaven. And they throw everything into it that they have in their retirement plan. And all these funds do is try to maintain the distribution to give you a sense of safety. And people start to listen to YouTubers. And YouTubers, you know what they're saying? Get a HELOC. Take a second mortgage on your house. Max out your credit cards. Get a second mortgage. Get a loan. Personal line of credit. Put it all on these high-yielding weekly paying ETFs. Because if you're getting charged, like the most expensive borrowing is that of a credit card. It's between 28 and 32%. But if you're making 80, who cares? That's what those YouTubers are telling you. Who cares? Put it on your margin. You got 200,000. You might be able to get 100,000, depending on the margin coverage. And you'll pay 6, 7, 8%. And you'll make 80. So you're making money off your credit card. You're making money off your margin. Go to your bank. Get a HELOC. Your house is maybe worth 400,000. And the bank will give you 200,000. Take that 200,000, which you're going to be paying 8 to 10%. Throw it in the weekly paying ETFs. You make 80 plus. That's the Pied Piper leading you to ruin and despair. Do you understand? It's the swan song of the sirens. You're going to crash your ship upon the rocks of a disastrous island. Get out of these weekly paying ETFs. It's a pure, in my opinion, scam. Pure scam. You cannot maintain those distributions. Nobody is smart enough, right? One of the greatest investors in the history of the stock market averaged 30% a year for 30 years. Okay? That's one of the best in the world. Everybody in the world came to invest money with him, and he would say, no, I've got enough. I've got enough clients. The best investor did 30% for 30 years. Do you think Yield Max, Roundhill, Granite Shares, I don't know, there's too many, are going to match that performance? When we talk, this is the fund that the greatest investor, in my opinion, was going up and to the right and increasing in value 30% a year. If you look at these weekly paying ETFs, even those monthly ones with these companies that are involved, they're going down and to the right. There's very few shining stars. They're all losing NAV, net asset value, which is incredibly important because it tells you how much you have. This is not a pretend number. This is a real number that's reported, net asset value, and almost 99% of these ETFs are eroding their net asset value. They're eroding their NAV. NAV erosion is a brutal thing. It's like walking down the street, sanitation's on strike, and there's garbage everywhere. It's piled to the sky. Is that the kind of city you want to live in? Well, that's where you're living now. You're looking desperate for an answer. And I'm telling you, go seek a financial advisor. Professional financial advisor, not the guy at the beginning of this video. Someone licensed. So if you like what you heard or didn't like what you hear, leave a like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the other side.